Good morning, friends, and welcome to the Conscious Contact Big Book Study of Alcoholics Anonymous. I am an alcoholic. My name is David. So good to see you all. And just FYI, uh, before we do the preamble, I just want a quick announcement. We will be here next Sunday, Christmas Eve, and we will be here New Year's Eve as well. So just and that'll be posted and go out on Saturday like it normally does. And I've asked our friend Linda to read our preamble, and Linda, I will bring that up for you. Hold on one second. I just need to make a quick adjustment. And there you go.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Linda. I'm an alcoholic. AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety.
Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, and now, if people would join me in taking a moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic in and out of the rooms, followed by the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. As I'm sure you all know, we are a line by line big book study. We go through the book, so we're going to be going through the book slowly today. And the benefits of that, as I say pretty much every week, is it really unlocks the text and gives me a much deeper, I would say almost just a clearer and more confident relationship with sharing the text, with conducting myself as a sober person. And one of the things we do is we break it down into 5 categories, the text, and we highlight each category a different color, and that's largely because of my obsession with office products. But that's another 12-step program. So our categories are questions, directions and explanations, promises, warnings, and history. And again, in all seriousness, I find that by doing that and even highlighting it that particular way, it really allows me to have a relationship with the book. It's less like a sort of like this old musty encyclopedia with this old timey language, and more like a ticket into a relationship with this program that is that's really changed for me tremendously. And so our format is I'll share until the top of the hour or so, and then we'll open it up for discussion. And in case you haven't been here before, you're not familiar. The meeting is recorded, but only my part. So we don't want to anybody who might be queasy about being recorded. We don't want that to be a barrier, and we only do audio, no video. So we do stay in line with the traditions, and then we post that on our this meeting actually has a YouTube channel of archives of pretty much. I think we have every meeting up there, we will have every meeting up there except for like the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 meetings we did, which was over a year ago. We started, like, I think we're on week 68. So we're starting today on page 76, picking up where we left off. Of course, I'm feeling a little ambitious today. I'm hoping we can get about 2 pages in. And we are into the chapter Into Action. And what we are going to see today are there are several key principles that Bill lays out, not just about making amends, but about our entire kind of mindset and approach to recovery and in our relationships with the world and the people about us. So, and it, in some cases, there's 1 or 2 pieces that I think are, at least for me, much the opposite of what I thought it was, and or what I assumed coming into AA, and even what I assumed a long time into sobriety. So I'm going to just jump in, and on page 76, paragraph 3, it starts out with a pretty important sentence that is a warning. Now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. Honestly, folks, we could spend the rest of the meeting just on that sentence and on the challenges, but just a little bit of background. As we've read previously, we know that the big book authors, primarily Bill, but here we see some other influences. They wanted to shy away. They even said, they didn't want to create a religious text. Yet, this is the reason that's in quotations. Faith without works is dead. And this will tell you what a good churchgoer I was. I thought it was like from a Christmas hymn or something. I was that's a whole other story. But it is from the book of James. And for our authors who did not want to create a religious text, this statement, in quotations, faith without works is dead, I believe it is quoted 3 times in the book and then referenced another 2 times. So in the first 164 pages, there are 5 references to this biblical passage or this biblical phrase. And I think that is for a purpose. That's intentional. Now, and where it comes from is it comes from the book of James. And I think I put a link in there and about the biblical roots of Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, while I think it's pretty clear that Bill was the primary author, what we see here with this was the influence of Dr. Bob, and especially his wife Anne, who were deeply committed to the book of James as a guideline for sober living. I'm not going to focus so much on the theological aspects of that as just the key point in the book of James that Dr. Bob took from that was that we can only access the spiritual power or energy that will keep us sober through works. And what they talk about in the book of James is going to visit widows, helping the poor. Now, works versus what we'll call revelation. meaning awareness, meaning like we're enlightened by God. So why is that important? It's important in Alcoholics Anonymous because I thought I could come into AA, read the books, get the ideas, and then on the ideas and understanding alone, make different decisions and have a much better life. And that plan, anyone is welcome to try it. I did. I ran it for as far as I could run it, and it was fruitless because it was only through works. It was only through action. And I don't just mean like a one-time or an episodic action of taking the steps. It was constant action. It was constant engaging in service. And this notion of service is also critical. And we'll get to this in a moment. So anyway, moving forward, faith without works is dead. And I'm thinking of, and I actually even referenced this yesterday in a meeting. If we go back to, even though I said this is from the influence of Dr. Bob, we see this even in Bill's story, where he talks about if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life. What does he say? Does he say through reading and thinking and talking to people and going to meetings? No, he says through work and self-sacrifice for others. Unless he does that, he would not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. And so we see this theme again and again and again. So the rest of the paragraph, that first sentence is a warning, but the rest of it is direction. So let's look at steps 8 and 9. We have listed all persons, we have made a list, of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make amends. We made it when we took inventory. So again, you all are probably aware of this, but you will sometimes hear a variety of things regarding your fourth step, and some people, and I was told this when I did my first thorough fourth step, burn the document. Burn it. It's over. It's done with. You've moved beyond that. And I did. And guess what? I had nothing. I had to start from scratch again when it came time to make amends. Actually, that's not true. For that kind of cycle through the steps, I just sort of used the cafeteria plan with amends. I did it at, not even the cafeteria plan. I did it as I don't even know what you want to call it. I did it as they came into my life. I didn't even pursue them. But anyway, what they're telling me here is we use that fourth step as our template as our springboard for our amends. And we subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. There's that word again. And I won't bring up every page that this references, but just so you know, I did a count. I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe in the first 164 pages, the word drastic in describing our program and the action we have to take is used 7 times. 7 times. So that means uncomfortable. And this notion of uncomfortable or extreme action is something we're going to see today as well. Now we go out to our fellows. and repair the damage we have done. We do a drastic self-appraisal. What that means is uncomfortable, unflinching, almost as if another person were appraising our life. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. Notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't say we intended to sweep away the debris that happened as a result of our drinking. Because, and why I think that is critical for me is, especially having been sober a few years now, is that, first of all, even when I was starting out, if I looked at everything that I did as a result of drinking, it was a pretty big list. However, when I understood self-will and how self-will created damage in my life, that list got huge. So by focusing on the drinking, I am limiting myself and the spiritual house cleaning that this step is asking me to undertake. We attempt to sweep away the debris which has accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning. We would, and here we go, italics, ladies and gentlemen, we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. I think that's important. Well, first of all, Bill or the authors thought it was important because they put it in italics. But I think it's one of those things that's operating on a couple levels. It's a reminder, for sure. Remember, if you want to shirk from this, if you want to hold back, if you're feeling like you're not ready to do this or this is too much for you, remember, you agreed at the beginning. But it's also, I think, a critical piece of what my sponsor calls sideways direction. And you see this on almost every page of this book. Sideways direction means that very often they will say, the authors will not say, you, David, here's what you need to do. What instead they will say is, these people over here, not you, but these people over here, here's what they did to allow them to be successful with sobriety and to help other people. So the sideways direction there is, for somebody like me, is that when I am working with a newcomer or a new sponsee, that I understand that this is not about, let me put it this way. I was, has anybody heard, I got the program through osmosis? Has anybody heard that? I heard that. And that was actually, for a long time, that was my experience. Now, listen, whatever gets you here, okay? But what it's saying is, if we're working with a newcomer, we don't emphasize okay, just take what you need and leave the rest, and just gradually acclimate yourself or allow the program to sink in so that they're willing to make a bigger, more substantial commitment. Now, I'm going to say this is, it took me a while to get the right balance, because I went from, okay, I'm just going to be very passive and lukewarm, to I became militant and almost angry about it. And I bet I alienated more people than I helped, far more people than I helped. So being able to focus on a drastic commitment and letting newcomers know this is about a drastic commitment up front. Being able to do that and not turn people off was a skill that I had to learn from other alcoholics. I didn't perfect it on my own. So anyway, that next paragraph, we start with the first two sentences are warnings. So we're talking about being willing to go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. Probably there are still some misgivings, so it acknowledges people are going to have misgivings. As we look over the list of business acquaintances and friends we have hurt, we may feel diffident. I thought it was a typo for a while. I didn't know that word. I put the definition. I looked it up. It means shy or reticent because of a lack of self-confidence. So basically what they're saying is we may want to hold back from making amends because we feel unsure of ourselves. We may feel diffident about going to some of them on a spiritual basis. Now there's another piece of sideways direction. And it'll talk in a moment about how we lead and what we talk about and how we talk about spirituality and so forth to that person. But I think there's a larger piece there that I think is even more important for us, and that is our motivation in making amends. And what they're saying here is that if we are whether we say it to the person or not, if we go to them on a spiritual basis, it means that the purpose of the amends is not to make us feel better. It is not just to right the wrong we have done. On one level, yes, but on another level, this is a spiritual undertaking that is meant to clear or settle the imbalance between us and our higher power. Because remember, I am powerless over alcohol. The only power I can get to stay sober is the power that comes from my God or my higher power. Anything blocking that relationship is going to limit the power I am receiving to stay sober. So, moving onward, the next several sentences are direction. Let us be reassured. To some people, we need not and probably should not emphasize the spiritual feature on our first approach. We might prejudice them. And notice the logic there. We're not leading with the spiritual side of this. And are we doing that because it would make us look bad or weak? No. The reason we're not doing that is that doing so might arouse prejudice and limit our usefulness. It's about usefulness. We might prejudice them. At the moment, we are trying to put our lives in order. But this is not, here it goes, it's not an end in itself. And I think this is one of them, what this next sentence is perhaps one of the most important pieces of direction in the first 164 pages, because it gets to our motivation for everything we're doing here, and hence the need for drastic action. Our real purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to God and the people about us. And I think there is a critical message there that my hope and prayer is that you will take this message away today and have it inform your approach to Alcoholics Anonymous, how you help other people, how you share. And here's the message. The message is, what they're saying there is that our job as if we want to be sober, our job is not to do service for the sake of recovery. Listen, because it's an important distinction. Our job is to pursue recovery for the sake of service. Do you see the difference? We do see, what I did for years is I did service because it helped me stay sober. And what Bill is saying here is my real purpose is to be a quote-unquote recovered person so that I may better serve others. So what's the ultimate goal? Not recovery, service, effective service. I hope that makes sense. Because again, and I missed this for a long time, because that is the only way I am going to receive the power that I need to go anywhere, do anything, and to meet any challenge. So those sentences so far in this paragraph are direction, and now we have some warnings. It is seldom wise to approach an individual who still smarts from our injustice to him and announce that we have gone religious. Now we can recall that almost brings back memories of Ebby going to Bill. But the big difference here, and it's a big difference, is there was no ill feeling between the two of them. They were happy to see one another. So it's not contradicting what they're saying here. In the prize ring, this would be called leading with the chin. And let's see. This may or may not be helpful, but that's what leading with the chin looks like. So, and I'm talking about not the guy being punched, not the guy punching. It means you get knocked out. And of course, it means blindly putting yourself in a disadvantaged position. Why lay ourselves open to being branded fanatics or religious bores? Why? Not because that would hurt our reputation. Not because that would make us feel bad. Not because that would negatively impact our self-esteem. Yes, indeed, Donna. Very good. Warning. Donna was holding up her pink highlighter. Yes, this is warning. So why do we not lay ourselves out as fanatics or religious bores? We may kill a future opportunity to carry a beneficial message. See, it's about this fixation, at least for someone like I had, about reputation. What do people think of me? I was so fixated on reputation rather than letting my usefulness define my reputation. I wanted I wanted usefulness to, or I wanted my reputation to just substitute for usefulness. And then the rest of this paragraph is direction. Our man is sure to be impressed with a sincere desire to set right the wrong. He is going to be more interested in a demonstration of goodwill than in our talk of spiritual discoveries. If I could just offer one observation, that's a lie, just one observation, David. If I could offer an observation, and this was also reflective of my own experience, probably the biggest mistake that I made over the years in my approach to the amends is I was largely self-directed. Meaning I was calling the shots in how I would say things, how I would approach people, how I formulated the amends. And at 30 plus years sober, I realized that was not the correct approach. This was probably, and it was, for me, it was one of the most sensitive areas of my recovery journey. Was what I needed to do instead is, obviously I needed to pray and meditate and ask for direction, but really I needed to allow my sponsor to be the main architect of this process. I needed to put it into someone else's hands. What words do I say here? How do I say this? Should I make this amends now? Should I make it later? Should I track this person down? Is it, should I, do whatever? Please tell me, direct me. And what I found is that once I did that, my relationship and my results to amends became completely different. So anyway, we don't, and now they're talking about the first sentence in the next paragraph is a warning, and however, wow, I wanted to get 2 pages done. I did not realize it was as late as it was. So rather than me go on and take up the whole 45 minutes, what we're going to do is just end there, because again, there is a lot. And of course, I pontificated a little bit. So thanks for indulging me. So what we're talking about is amends. We're talking about our approach. We're talking about our purpose, not just to amends, but AA and recovery in general. And the whole thing about faith without works is dead. So I think there's a lot for us to comment on there. And so I'm just going to open it up.